Horror stories from the national parks don't start the way people expect them to. I know because I've worked search and rescue for going on 19 years. I've pulled people out of ravines. I've carried body bags down switchbacks in the dark. I've sat with families while we waited for news that wasn't coming. That part of the job, the part you can put in a report, I've made my peace with. It's the other part I keep returning to. The part where the missing come back wrong. Not injured wrong. Not traumatized wrong. Wrong in a way that takes you a moment to identify, and then you can't stop identifying it. My first year, a veteran on my team named Carver told me something I didn't understand at the time. He said the wilderness has layers. The top layer is the one you can see. Trails, ridgelines, creek beds. The layer underneath that one, he said, you'll know it when you brush against it, because something will brush back. I thought he was joking. Carver didn't joke. He retired 6 years into my tenure. On his last shift, he handed me a laminated card he'd kept in the breast pocket of his vest for as long as I'd known him. He didn't say anything when he gave it to me. He just set it on the table and walked out. The card had 5 lines on it, tight, single-spaced, no header, no name. I read the first line standing there in the break room with the coffee machine gurgling behind me. I read it twice. I set the card down and looked at it for a long time. Then I put it in my own vest pocket. I've had it with me for 13 years now. The first line said, "One Nay-Day Chase Coat. If you find a person sitting still in open ground, do not approach from above." I didn't ask Carver what it meant. I didn't have his number anymore. But 14 months after he gave me that card, I understood it without asking. We had a missing hiker. Adult female. 42. She'd been separated from her group in the early afternoon. Weather was clear. Terrain was moderate. These are the searches that tend to go well. We found her before dark. She was sitting on a flat stretch of ground near a dry creek bed, knees drawn up, arms around them, looking east. Not at anything, just east. I was the first one to reach her, coming down a slope from above. She heard me coming. I know that because her head turned toward the sound before I said anything, but she didn't look up at me. She kept her eyes level. When I got close enough, I saw that her lips were moving without sound. I called her name. She stopped. She turned her face up toward me slowly, like the movement cost something. She was fine. Medically. We checked everything. But on the walk out, she kept stopping and turning to look behind us. Not nervously, methodically, like she was counting something. I asked her what she was doing. She said, making sure they're not following. I asked who. She looked at me. Then she said, "You came from above." She wouldn't say anything else. After that, I started paying attention to the card differently. There are things in those 5 lines that I think Carver spent years learning how to say without saying too much. The second line, "Manda's sound that repeats at irregular intervals," is not an echo. I've heard it twice in the field. Once in a canyon drainage where our radio traffic was bouncing badly. We kept hearing our own transmissions return to us, but the timing was off. Sometimes 2 seconds, sometimes 11, sometimes closer to 30. One of the newer officers said the geology was playing tricks. Our frequency hadn't been keyed. The transmissions were ours, but the thing returning them was choosing when to send them back. The third line took me longer to understand. It said, "If you find a trail that does not appear on any map, mark the entrance and do not walk it past the first bend." We found unmarked trails before. Old fire roads, elk paths that widen with use. What Carver's line describes is something different. There's a particular kind of trail that looks intentional. Cleared. Maintained. No deadfall, no overgrowth. A width that suggests regular passage. We found one during a search in the 3rd year I carried the card. 6 of us. The trail was right at the edge of our grid. One of my officers walked it to the first bend and stopped. I saw him stop from where I was standing. He looked around the bend, then stepped back and walked back to the group without speaking. Later, I asked him what he saw. He said, "Footprints, coming toward us." I asked how many sets. He said, "One." The same one. Repeated. Like it had walked that stretch many times. I asked what was wrong with that. He said the prints were barefoot, and they were warm. I didn't ask him how he knew. He didn't explain. The fourth line on the card. Do not attempt to retrieve gear left in the middle of a clearing. We've found abandoned equipment more than once. Packs, sleeping bags, boots placed side by side, neatly, like someone expected to come back. Protocol is to document, photograph, and log the location. What you do not do is pick it up. Carver understood something about clearings that I've come to understand too. They aren't neutral ground. Something uses them. I don't know for what. But I've noticed that the gear we log and leave is always gone when we check back. And the gear that gets collected by well-meaning people on the team sometimes turns up somewhere it shouldn't be, somewhere it couldn't have been moved to, not by a person. The fifth line is the one I think about most. It said, "Say, the ones who come back and cannot remember where they were, remember everything. They just can't say it yet." I've sat with returned people who stared at a fixed point on the wall while I asked them questions, who answered slowly, as if translating from a language they hadn't spoken before, who, weeks or months later, would call the station and leave a message, sometimes just a location, sometimes just a number, sometimes just a sound. Once, a woman who'd been missing for 4 days called 11 months after her recovery. She said she needed to tell me something. She said she'd been trying to find the words. She said, "The card your colleague made. It's missing one." I asked how she knew about the card. She said, "Because they told me." I asked who told her. There was a pause on the line, long enough that I thought the call had dropped. Then she said, "The ones you haven't found yet." The call ended. I've been trying to add a sixth line to the card for 11 years. I've written things down and crossed them out. I've started sentences I couldn't finish. Whatever Carver knew when he typed those 5 lines, he knew it completely enough to say it in one clean sentence. I'm not there yet. I don't know if I want to be.